Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to The First Pencil with Kathi and Mike. My name is Mike the Car Guy. With me, as always, my wicked, awesome best friend in the whole wide world. And I'll save the rest. I usually have a long intro, but she's just too cool. Kathi Cruz, how are you?
I'm good, and I guess we should mention that it's been a while since we had a
That's true. I should have said, and we're back.
And we're back. Yeah,
And we're back.
we were. Well, I
We
was
both had a
suffering.
lot going on.
Yeah, I was suffering from burnout, and I'm still kind of, but I was just burnt out beyond like crispy, and I just had to rein things in a little bit, and then
And
you
I
had
had
a
so
lot of
much
things
going on, and we
going.
had to get through Thanksgiving. And so we just kind of set it aside for a minute.
Yeah,
We kept talking. We kept talking
yeah, yeah.
regularly, like we always do, because
Mhm.
can't take that away. But we kind of took a break. If you've been listening in, you notice there's been a few weeks that we didn't have episodes of The First Pencil, but we're back.
Yeah, we're back. We're back today. Hopefully, things will keep going. I'm sure everyone can understand when you get overloaded with too many things. And yeah, I mean, I already have an anxiety disorder, so I don't need to make it worse. And it was definitely worse. And so now we're back, but we're just going to take it a step at a time and see where we
Right.
go. So what do we want to talk about today?
Actually, with all the changes in marketing, and both of us are so, I mean, that's kind of our lives revolve around that. It's funny to see how, the more things change, the more some things stay the same. And I really found it amusing when I opened your newsletter recently that you referenced a thread in Threads that the Google Liaison page had posted about a lot of the impacts of how they've done things. But the one thing that kind of jumped out at me is there's literally a post in there that says, a lot of people are thinking this is new, and yet it's not. And they referenced like some posts from 10 years ago where Google was saying, the wording on your page should be for your customers. We've always said, don't structure it for Google, structure it for your customers, because that's what Google is trying to do, is serve up the best content based on what the consumer's asking for. And that's not, but some people are like, oh my God, this is great. And it kind of came to relevance just yesterday. I had an inquiry from a dealer, and I always just go to their site and look at their I try to find their staff page, right, to see who I'm going to be calling and stuff. And it's just a thing I do. It's funny how many pages, dealer websites don't have anybody on their
Yes.
staff page. So,
Yeah.
but
Which says a
inevitably,
lot. That says a lot.
yeah, it does. Every single page I look at, if it's abcmotors.com, there's going to be a paragraph on there, right there
Oh
on the
yeah.
front page, to this date in December of 2023, that says, our customers come to us for Ford vehicles from, and they'll name off like 60 cities,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
from this place, this place, this place, this place, all to take advantage of our low price, and I'm like, oh my God. Like,
And so we need to explain. So what that is basically it's I don't know if it's still called this, but it was called keyword stuffing. And it is actually something that can get Google to start ignoring you if you do it. They've said that for a very long time.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. But here we are with franchise dealership websites that are still doing that.
And
It's
that
terrible.
website provider is probably one of five that the OEM
Is
told their dealers,
That's right.
these are the only ones you can use.
Yep.
If you're going to do your own website, these are the preferred vendors.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's honestly because behind the scenes, I've been kind of thinking about what my business is about, what cruise control is going to be about, And one of the things is like, I just want to, I don't know, maybe I just want to be it's not the term consultant, but whatever it is you want to call it, but somebody to just go around and go, look at your website. You can't do this. Okay. You have such an opportunity. It's prime space. You spend all this money to get people to go to it. And then you give them that. Like, no. And that thread from Danny Sullivan, who is the Google liaison, Danny Sullivan used to be, I know him. I mean, I don't know him. I don't talk to him personally, but I know him from the day long ago when he was didn't work for Google, but he ran I think Search Engine Journal was his, was a Search Engine Journal or Roundtable, whatever it was, but it was a very, thought leader type site and blog. And he always spoke at a lot of conferences, non-automotive, but marketing, maybe CMO conferences and things like that. So he's telling people now still, like, don't do that. And with the Google update, that there's the helpful content update, quote unquote, and then the hidden gems, which was I think the newsletter you were looking at, that because I do that weekly. That was this week. The hidden gems is an update too. So all of that talks about not doing those paragraphs. And I was going to say too, don't forget where they mention all the cities, and the,
like you're smarter than Google, like you're going to game the system. And Google has said so many times, especially because one of my passions is Google Business Profiles. I jumped in early on. I love it. I've kind of just made it my whole world. But they're like, it doesn't matter how many cities you list that you serve, because Google knows where the person is that's typing. So if someone types in widget near me, if you're not close to them, they're not going to show your company to that customer, no matter how many times you say you serve that area. And in the dealership world, I was always cognizant, and it still blows me away that you and I are like in that small percentage of people that think like this. I was always like, why would if I'm in Riverside, why would I want to appeal to a customer in Sherman Oaks? The only way I'm going to get that guy to come to my dealership and drive past 11 to 15 other dealers is with a low price. So it's not going to be beneficial to me. Is he going to come to me for service? No, he's not going to drive all the way back out for service. So what's the benefit? Just to hit a number? I mean, I don't get it. Yes, expand your marketing if you've dominated your local region. If everyone within a 10-mile radius of your dealership is driving your product and it's got your license plate frames on it, by all means, dude, expand. Lift your sights up, expand into the market around you. But if that isn't happening, that should be your focus.
That's right. That's right.
And that's not a novel concept. It's not exclusively mine. I didn't invent it. And by no means is it new.
No,
But
it's
here
not
we are.
new. No.
2023.
Yeah. It's honestly disheartening sometimes when you think about how long it's been, and there's been changeover in dealers and dealer staff, and none of it seems to stick. It just keeps, but I feel like there's got to be some kind of some sort of paying attention to something, because changes are happening, and if you're not managing the change, then you're not going to survive per se. And managing change is tough. It takes a lot of effort. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure you too probably see dealers that there's like one dude or one gal at the store that really does know and pay attention, but they leave it up. So most of the time they leave it up to the vendor, and the vendor is just
right. They just want to pay somebody else that they think knows what they're doing, and let them just take that off my plate. Just take the stress off my plate. But you and I both said, inspect what you expect. If you're paying a vendor to host your website, look at your website and not look at it as the GM or the decision. Look at it as a customer. If I was looking for this product, if I was looking for a Ford and I found this website, is this going to help me make my decision to buy from them? Not to buy a Ford, but to buy from them. People do look at the About Us page. If it's blank, red flag. If it's just like generic, family owned for X many years, serving the local area, free coffee in the waiting room, we have Wi-Fi. What are the reasons that I want to drive over to your dealership?
And I think that might have been in the thread about an About Us page. Was it in that thread about, he used the example of having authority, right? And the authority is you have an About
Share
Us.
customer experiences, share stories, share something intriguing, insightful, educational.
And linking,
information.
linking. So linking to internal pages and external pages, super important. None of that is happening. None of that.
That
It's
ties into something we talked about weeks ago when we talk about like social listening, right? Not only should a business person log in once in a while as the page on the page that their company has and look for likes and follows and that kind of stuff, but also you want to expand your visibility quickly. And I just in the last 6 months have seen tremendous success. Just go to businesses that you do business with as the business, like their posts, which in turn triggers that law of reciprocity,
Mhm,
reciprocity.
mhm.
Because then that business, if they're halfway aware, will start liking your posts as their business. Now you've expanded the visibility. You're not paying for it. You're getting views by people that aren't necessarily following your page. It's fresh, it's active, which all platforms look for current stuff, right? And don't be afraid to leave a review as a business to the business that you do business with. If you're a dealership and you, let's say you buy fluids from a dealer, you buy windshields, you deal with a glass company, right? Why not put a review as the business? It's going to mean a whole lot to that business person,
Mhm,
especially if they're a local business. Oh my God, a
mhm.
local business reviewing a local business, that means the world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many benefits to it. And like I said, in the last 6 months, I've seen a dealership here locally that I've been consulting with, telling them to do these things, and it's just paying off in spades. Yes, they're getting sales. That's Can I point, draw the connecting dots? Yes, at least three. But three car deals is not enough to, retire off of. The real increase has been in the parts and service departments. That's where the increases are seen.
Mm.
And service, as we know, the focus is shifting from sales into service. Service is where you want to be focused on right now, anyways. So think about it.
Yeah. 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 I did some changes on my website a while back and just trying to clean up because my blog lots of blog posts and just I did a lot of research about what I should do. And so I ended up deleting the older blog posts. And what I forgot to do is keep them. But I usually, when I write a blog post, I will put it on a Google Doc just to save it so it's
Archive it.
so. And it so when I deleted the older ones, I think I either just got busy or whatever, but I just forgot to put them down because in the way beginning, like I'm talking 2010. And so I'm like, oh shit, how am I going to get those back? Right. So I'm like, let me go to the Wayback Machine and see if I can find them. And sure enough, I did. And so and back then I was blogging twice a week. So it was quite labor intensive. I'm only up to 2012 now, but I have everything. I'm almost done because I have everything to 2014 forward. But anyway, the reason I'm saying that is because I look back on what I was saying and what we were talking about. It's you and I were saying the same time, and I was writing about it. There's not much different now in the things that I was writing about, and it's just here we are, almost 14 years later, and it's still the same. So anyway, so I managed to retrieve all my older blog posts, and the
And
thing that
you're posting them to a Google Doc?
I'm putting them on, yes, they're in WordPress, but I'm putting them on a Google Doc. Just
You can publish those to the web, so they still are searchable too. That's great content to put out there.
yeah, but it's duplicate for me. That would be duplicate for me, so I don't. um, really was just trying to. It all came because when I started the blog, I was telling stories about being in the car business, and I wanted to retain those stories just because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, let me go get them, and they weren't there, and I'm like, oh no, shit! I just realized I deleted them. It's
I
not.
know you've got a lot of ideas for a book, and I keep hoping for that book to come out one of these
Yeah,
days.
I know. Just but I would love to do it. Listen, if I was independently wealthy and not burn out, that would be my first choice, because I can totally see myself just sitting back, sipping tea and writing a book. That would be awesome. So, but in the meantime, yeah. But that was one of the reasons, actually, because I've been going to write a book forever, and that I'm like, that's all written down and I don't have to rethink about it. So let me find it. And then that's when I discovered that I don't recommend deleting blog posts. The way that I did it methodically, and it started because I needed to do it for Hanali's site as well, because we had lots of stuff that could be deleted. So I sought out good advice and what to do, and so that's what I did. But in the meantime, I'm just realizing what I was writing about then is there's still, it's 14 years later. Yeah, what are you going to do? It's hard not to get disheartened when you see that. So
I
yeah,
share all the time, how Facebook memories will show you, pet posts from way long. I'll pull out and make a screenshot of posts where like you have said something or I've said something relevant. And I'll be like, yep, 10 years later,
yeah,
still important, still irrelevant.
yeah, that's right. You just did it recently with I think I was a digital dealer when I said that. I think it might have been a slide or something, or I don't remember.
Probably.
Yeah. So it was like 2013. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing how it's just as impactful and probably more important even than it was then.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I was
funny.
just looking at a study, recent study about it's about what dealers worry the most about. And the thing that was number one was uh infringing on the market, the factory infringing on the market or entering the market even.
During the market, yeah.
And I mean, that's been going on digitally for a long time, right? Because dealers compete with it for SEO and in advertising with the manufacturer.
Right.
Uh,
At the
I
end of
don't,
the day, the manufacturer cares about their product as an individual piece component being sold, not necessarily where the consumer buys it.
there just
So if
isn't a
the
coordination.
dealership
That's,
gets some benefit from their marketing, that's unintentional. All
yeah,
they want is to brand their broad
yeah,
product. They want a
yeah,
factory wants a Ford product in your driveway. Where you buy it from is less important.
yeah.
The one I
Yes.
shared recently was digital relationship building decreases the time from computer research to a handshake on the lot. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. How
You
sad
said
is
that.
that? It's
And I
really
reshared
sad.
that because I mean, that was before there was a term digital retail, right? But what's the latest buzzword, or one of, I mean, they
Mhm.
have a short shelf life now. Buzzwords seem to get replaced really, really quickly. But just recently at all the conferences at all in all the world, on LinkedIn, everywhere else, it was automotive. Digital retail was the buzzword. Well, digital retail just shortens the time between digital and handshake. That's all it
Mhm.
really does.
Mhm.
You were talking about it 10 years ago.
Mhm. Yeah. That doesn't make me feel good. I know it should. I mean, your
But
ego, you should like that, but
it's gaining traction, so that's a good thing.
yeah.
We were
Whatever.
instrumental in the beginnings of it, and we always kind of poo poo on cars and or car business and automotive, and it's not intentional because I think
I don't think we do that. We're realistic about it. I'm
uh,
realistic. If I see something bad, if I see bad acting, I'm going to call it out. If I see good, I call that out too. Anyway, go ahead.
me too, and I think what's behind it though is a sincere passion for our industry. I want our industry to
Yeah.
be better.
Yeah.
I want it to be what it can be, and I still hold it to that level of achievement. I want it to be a place where people feel good about it, people feel good about being in that business, people feel good about doing business with dealerships. I know it can be better, and a lot of times I'll share negative stories about the car business, but recently I had a real positive story, and it reminded me there's still a lot of good people out there, and there's still a lot of car deals to be had. For instance, my son, my oldest son, he's 31. His girlfriend was looking for her first new car. She inherited her mom's Camry from her when she got old enough to drive, and she's been driving a Camry for 10 years. She was wanted to buy a new car. She decided on the brand Honda and a Civic, but she wasn't certain which model, LX, Touring, EX, whatever. She really wasn't sure. She just knew she wanted a Honda. She heard good things about the brand from her research. People that she knew that had Hondas always said good things about Hondas. They don't break, that kind of thing. So she settled. Went to two different dealerships, and in her words, she said it seemed like because she didn't have exactly what she wanted, on the top of her mind that they couldn't be bothered. She's asking questions like, what's the difference between this model and this model? And they're like,
Oh,
wow. She seemed like the salespeople were like put out by like that she wanted to do research. Like they expected her to come in and say, stock number SK1279. Let's go ahead and put that one together. They were like, I gotta actually put work into this, so 5 minutes on the lot, and then they wanted to go inside. Let's go talk about payments. And she's like, I don't know for sure what I want to buy yet. So knowing that I've been out of the industry, Dominic hadn't called me. He said he didn't want to bother me. Whatever. He's got a lot of things going on. But when he called me, he goes, I know I hate to bug you with this. I know you're not in a dealership, but do you have someone we can just go work with? And I go, let me call you right back. So I started looking around, and oh my gosh, my network is just like dwindled down to
yeah,
hardly
yeah.
calling people. I'm like, nope, I'm not in car business anymore. Fuck.
Same
This guy,
here.
I'm like, and I'm so used to having, 5 or 6 people at a call or a text I can reach out to. So one of the people I called said, hey, I'm out, but Anthony is back at a Honda dealership, and he had been at a Mercedes store last time I talked with him. So I'm like, oh, thank God. I reached out to a guy named Anthony Waite. So I worked with a couple different dealerships. I worked for him. He worked for me. Just one of the best, just a huge guy, just an awesome guy. He's at Santa Monica Honda, which is an LA car guy store. I literally shot him an email because I was on a meeting, right? I get a lot of work done when I'm on Zoom meetings, waiting for my turn to talk. So I shoot him an email, speak on my little session, and by the time I wrapped up, I got an email back. Got you handled, dude. What is she looking for? When does she want to come in? No worries. And I honestly felt like there was no worries. I had that comfort of, okay, thank God. I know I can send my son and his girlfriend to them, not be there holding their hand, and I trust that they'll get taken care of. And at no time did I ever say, look, can you do this pricing or that price? Or I didn't have to, because it's not about a price. I trust that he's not going to gouge them or rip them off. That's less important. What's the real issue is they're just going to feel like they're listened to, like they're taken care of. They're going to get a fair deal, and they're going to drive away feeling good about it. That's all I've ever asked. When I call someone and say, hey, can I send this person to you? I never say price, because that's not really what it's about. It's about the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
They were there 2 hours.
Yeah.
And an hour and a half of that was on the lot looking for the right car.
Okay.
Because once she said, this is it, she drove it. She said, I love the color. I love the features. Everything else was easy. They said, here it is based on your information and your numbers. Here's what it is. She's like, great, let's do this. They signed her, and she was on the road. I mean, when Dom texted me with a picture of her, I was like, oh, is that the one she picked out? He goes, that's the one we're driving. And I'm like, oh, shit, that was quick. Yeah, it took longer to get there than it took to do the deal. They're happy. They love it. The whole deal. And they're appreciative of me, hooking them up. And
Yep.
for years and years and years, as I trained salespeople in the car business, that's what you want, right? Mm-hmm. Is to be someone else's hookup. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with the number. Your goal should be that your customers are out there in the world. If they're in a warehouse talking to the guy next to a forklift, and he says, we're going out to buy a car this weekend. He says, oh, stop. I got a guy. You got to go see this guy. Or this gal. She's the one. This is the guy you need to go see. Or if you're in the office at the water cooler, we're going out to buy a car this weekend. Don't. Here, let me go back to my desk and get the card. This is the person you need to go see. That should be your goal. Mm-hmm. And that's how you grow a business. And I just, I wanted to share that experience because it's refreshing that still is possible in the car business. So many times online you see, dealerships doing bad things. You hear stories about people getting jacked around at a car, but there are still some good folks out there. You just, it sucks that you got to work so hard to find them. But once you find them, then you start recommend as a customer, be a good customer too. Make sure you recommend that person to other people to send them those.
And write a review. Hopefully they'll review. Name him in the review.
Yep.
So he gets some Google juice.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, I did.
Yeah. Good.
He even called me 2 days later. He's like, "Hey, thanks for the novel. I appreciate that." You know me, I go to town. Chapter 7. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. All right, we're going to be running down on time, and a couple things we needed to share. If you've listened to the show, you know that we always try to wrap it up with something from the other world that Kathi and I share. I won't even say as much passion, probably more passion for outside of automotive, and that's music. And sadly, it's kind of a negative note. Both of us lost, actually, the industry and the world at large lost a couple of big people in the last few weeks that we've been on our little hiatus, but two of them are kind of important to both of us, respectively. Geordie Walker with Killing Joke, which was a band, I can't even say prominent, but they were very important to me in the early 80s music scene. When I came across them, they were kind of like a gateway drug that got me into a whole scene that I didn't know about. The guitarist Geordie Walker, he passed away recently after suffering a stroke, and it kind of got me into a Killing Joke mode for like 3 days. All I just listened to was just went back through their catalog and just memories and emotions and stuff, and it just, that's one of the things that music does for us, right?
Yeah.
It's emotional tie.
Yeah.
Kathi, who else is the industry saddened by the
Mhm.
loss of?
Yeah. Shane MacGowan. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, no, I think anyone who knew of Shane or knew about him knew that he would not probably live to be as old as he was. He was 65. Everyone thought he would die sooner, but he didn't. But he unfortunately got, he's the lead singer of the Pogues. They were a Irish punk band in the late 80s. And he single-handedly, he's really a poet, but he
Oh,
is
for sure.
very just a talented guy, and he single-handedly brought back Irish music to from where it was. Like, it was just sort of, it would get sung by older people in bars back then, and then he single-handedly, and I'm not the one saying that, that's what everyone that talks about him
Right.
says. But he's just a good dude. He never cared about being famous in any way, and always just appreciated if someone liked his song or songs. And anyway, but he'd been in a wheelchair because he hurt his hip. I forget how. Probably because he was drunk and fell down, but but nonetheless, he was still soldiering on, and he got viral encephalitis and had to go in the hospital in June and this year, and he just got released on November 22nd. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and he just didn't look good, and I could see by the picture, I'm like, oh, this is not good, right? And his wife was just saying, his birthday is on Christmas Day, and I would just want him to come home for Christmas and his birthday, and then just one day in my feed I see that he passed that day. And so, just an amazing dude. People make fun of the way he looks, and they don't really, a lot in our culture we tend to give more credence to people that look pretty. And if that wasn't the case, Shane would be, and the Pogues would be much more popular. And
Probably, yeah, for sure.
yeah, and so there's still a version of the Pogues that goes around all the other Pogues. Because Shane was not capable of coming and doing songs, but um, the rest of the band would do. They I think it's called Poetry in Motion is the name of the band. So they toured a little bit around here in Southern California and United States. But anyway, his funeral we're recording this on Thursday, December 7th. So his funeral's tomorrow. They're going to do a procession all through Dublin. And then they'll have a funeral and a mass at a church. I forget which church, but anyway, it just makes me very sad that he is gone, because it's just, yeah. Anyway, so rest in peace.
Completely. I was a few months back, I saw a playbill for a concert that's going to be in Las Vegas next year with a lot of bands that I really liked from, my past, and would like to see again. A couple that I had never seen live, one of them being Killing Joke, another one being Front 242, which is an industrial band. I was like, oh my god, Killing Joke. It would be the chance to see them and mark that off. I mean, the list of bands I have seen is amazing. I don't have to necessarily see another band, but it would be really cool to add them to the list. But now, sadly, I won't be able to because they.
Yeah,
So,
that's unfortunate. Yeah. So,
well, not to end on a negative note, we still have a lot of good music from the two artists that we can enjoy and go back through, and we'll
if you
always
want,
have.
I'll just give one tip. Great song. It's called "Fairy Tale of New York." It's
Yes,
Shane and a gal named Kirsty McCall, who also died like
also died young.
suddenly. She was trying to, she was on vacation. She's married to Steve Lillywhite, who's a record producer. And in the year I want to say the year 2000, I think they were on vacation in Mexico, and she jumped in the water. There was a speedboat coming, and she jumped in the water to save her son, and she got hit and she was killed instantly. They never did an investigation on her death or anything, and no one ever. I think the person that was driving the boat was connected to the government, so somehow, yeah, yeah. So
That I
her,
didn't know. And
yeah,
how she was killed, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Shady.
yep, yep. So that is a great song. It's a Christmas song. People call it a Christmas song, but only because they talk about Christmas in it. But it's just two drunk people kind of
And that's the one that got shared most, I think,
oh,
as people were saying, rest in peace, Shane. That was if you saw anything online that day, that's probably the song that you saw. It's this great
there's
song.
a great live version recorded on YouTube, and I put it in my newsletter. I think like not last week, maybe last week, but I can put that in the show notes. But it's a live version. There's a couple of them on YouTube, but a lot of them are like lip syncing, uh, which is not my favorite. So, but there is a live one with Shane and Kirsty, and it's very good. It's very nice, very good. So.
Did he ever actually do any? I know that he has been on a couple of interviews with Sinead O'Connor and done some things, but did they
Yes,
do songs together?
they did. They sang a song called "Haunted." That's his song as well. I want to be haunted by the ghost. I want to be haunted by the ghost. Yeah, that song. Yes, him and Sinead did. I think they did it for a some kind of a charity function. They created it for that. I think it was a charity function in Ireland. So, but there's a video of that, I believe, on YouTube as well. So,
That's the one I was gonna go look up
yeah, it's very good. It's really good. Yeah.
because I remembered
And while
seeing.
you're at it, I'm going to just tell you to also go, because there's the Dubliners and the Pogues get together and sing Irish Rover, and it's it's so good. It's so good. There's quite a few videos of them, because I think that was probably a popular song back then, and so they sang. But just watching Shane next to the lead singer of the Dubliners, who's like the most stereotypical Irish guy. He's got the beard, he's got the blue eyes, he's like, hearty and singing the song. And here's Shane, not like 1985. He's like, super thin and just, he just doesn't.
Messed up teeth.
Yeah, messed up teeth. He finally did get his teeth fixed. But oh, and I can also say there's a great documentary. There's a couple of them, but there's a great one called The Crock of Gold, and it's recent. It's from a couple of years ago. It's talks about Shane and Shane's life, and you can just tell by the outpouring of people and things that are said by the musicians that of what he meant to music and to songwriting in particular, and poetry. He even recently did, I want to say, when was it? I think 2015. He did he draws and paints, and he had an exhibition of his work. So he's just a super genius, honestly. But yeah,
Will be missed, but much to remember him with,
makes
for
me
sure.
sad. Yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up, and just I'll plug my newsletter. If you're listening to this, love to have you on my newsletter. It's free. You don't have to pay anything.
Please subscribe. As I mentioned at the beginning of our episode today, that's kind of what made me think of some of the stuff we were talking about today, because there's always good, relevant information in there.
Yep. All right. So I guess we'll see you guys soon. Mike, are we gonna record, what did we decide? Every 2 weeks or every 1 week, or what did we decide? I don't think we even decided.
We didn't, but if we go 2 weeks, I would put us on the 21st. I'm down with that.
Okay, all right. So
All right, folks. We look
yeah,
forward to
and
seeing you again.
we'd love to hear if if you have anything to say, or just reach out to us and let us know what's on your mind. In the meantime, we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening in.